This week's episode is all from a question that we got over the last couple of days. Hey everybody, I'm Justin Spaulding. Thank you for tuning into the fourth episode of Ballin with Spauldin. I really appreciate you guys tuning in today. I definitely am thankful and grateful for that. Before we start, if you could hit the subscribe button, that way you'll be updated as to when we drop new stuff. If you know anyone else that wants to be successful, that wants to be a millionaire, please share this with them, because that's what we are trying to do here, is to create millionaires.
Is it better to pay off current debt and wait to invest, or just go for it with my current debt situation?
I think you could ask 10 different people this question, you'd get 10 different answers, so I don't know that there's necessarily a right answer, but in my opinion, number one, of course, it's always great to be able to be out of debt and debt-free, out of your, have your bad debts paid off. Debts that aren't paying you paid off. Your student loans, your mortgage, your credit cards, etc., before you invest. But if everyone waited until they were completely out of debt to invest, they would have nothing for later on in life, and they'd never get to where they want to be soon enough. So I think you have to look at your risk profile. How much risk do you want to take on? Do you want to be completely out of debt, or do you want to add a little bit more good debt on top of that bad debt? So the next thing is opportunity cost. And we're going to put that definition up right here, but opportunity cost is the cost that you'll realize if you put your money in one place versus investing it or putting it into another place. So let's use myself for an example. I was $30,000 in student loan debt, and it was a 7% interest rate when I graduated school. That first year I paid roughly $2,400 in interest. The second year I paid roughly $2,340 in interest. The third year, roughly $2,200 in interest. That's all money going out. I want to start creating some money going in. The opportunity came for me when I had $20,000 in the bank to invest in a 4-unit apartment building. And I was going to be a 50% owner. The building was $200,000, which was a great deal at the time. It was at the low of the market in 2012. The rents were $1,800, and now that's total, okay? So each unit, each apartment in that 4-unit was $450. I knew, just because I knew the area and looking at other apartments and everything, I knew that the rents could be up to $600, $700, and even beyond that. So I knew that this was a safe investment. I knew I was going to realize a 10% return, and even much more so than that later on down the road. So here is a scenario where I could have a huge opportunity cost. Now, this 10%, that's as long as you know what you're doing. I knew what I was doing. I had educated. I'd read dozens and dozens of books and had some experience with this before I went and did it. I knew that this was pretty solid, right? So as long as I get that 10% return, there's a positive spread here in interest rates. So if I took this $20,000 and I applied it to pay down something that was only a 7% interest rate, when on that same money I could be making 10%, it makes sense to put it into the investment that's going to pay you 10% or more. Because now you can pay that 7% interest out of the return of this investment and still have some left over. So you're in a positive area over here. And that's what I looked at. So year 2 went by, we did a couple improvements to the property, and total rents of the whole property went up to $2,400. Year 3 in this building, rent's about $3,000. So the star is here because that year, the second year out of college, I went out and actually bought another $200,000 4-unit, and it happened to be right next door, and it was the same scenario. The rents were $1,800 a month total, cumulative through all the apartments, and currently now the rents are $3,000 a month in each building, so we're doing pretty good. But when I saw the rents were at $1,800, that year, I bought it in year 2, so this one that we already bought was already bringing in $2,400 worth of rents every month. So I knew that this had room to go up, right? So currently, like I said, $3,000 each unit each month for a total of $6,000 of income. We're really, pretty fortunate at this time. We have great tenants in there, and one of these buildings basically pays all the expenses for both buildings. So one building is pretty much all just excess cash flow, which is pretty awesome. It's a pretty great deal. And so that's, we would not sell. We bought for $200,000. We bought this one for just under $200,000. This one needed some work. We put a little bit more money into that, but we wouldn't sell based on how much cash this is bringing in now. We would not sell this for sure, for less than $600,000. and we're just a couple years down the road. So that would have really been my opportunity cost right there. If I would have taken this $5,000, this $20,000, put it right towards this loan, yeah, maybe I'd be out of this student loan debt by now. But you know what? Because of my side business, because I've been working and building another side business, that side business is going to pay off the rest of these student loans this year. So that would have been a huge opportunity cost in my mind had I taken those, my cash and put it here as opposed to getting this, because now I have an asset that is going to pay me for a really long time. And if we sell it, we're going to get a great deal and be able to go invest in another property or put it in something else that will be able to continue to pay us. This principle from the last episode, we're talking about never touch the principal. This $25,000, I'll never touch that principal. It will always be working and paying me. So that's opportunity cost in a nutshell, a very brief overview, but it really just boils down to your risk profile and then the opportunity cost. Tomorrow, here's another great example. So if you have $300 extra after you pay your minimum car payment or your minimum whatever has an interest that you're paying. So let's just say you have an extra $300 sitting here right now after you made your minimum payment on your student loans. And let's say you're like, oh man, should I just put this $300 towards these student loans this month and just pay down some principal? Well, what happened if your buddy would come by and he was really in a bind and as a dude you really trusted and he said, hey, give me that $300. Next month I'll pay you this $300 back, and just as a thank you, I'll give you an extra $300 on top of it. What would you do? Definitely, you should take that $300, give it to your buddy, so that next month you're going to get $600 back. That's just, if you just take that $300 and say no to your buddy, take that $300 and just put it towards your student loans, that's the opportunity cost, missing out on that $600 that would be coming in next month, because that is a much greater return on that $300. Now that's assuming that your friend does what he says he's going to do. Once again, and that's the same thing with this real estate. That's as long as you're going to get this return on your real estate. So you have to be educated. You got to know what you're doing, but ultimately you really learn what you're doing by experience. No doubt about it. You learn by experience and by doing, and it's a matter of taking a step and knowing that the staircase is going to be there when you put your foot down. So just want to thank you guys for tuning into the 4th episode of Ballin with Spauldin. If you could please, before you leave, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, definitely leave a question. Get a hold of me, Snapchat me, it's down in that corner. Hit me up on Twitter, the hashtag Ballin with Spauldin, ask a question, or just do it right underneath this video. Ask a question right down there, because I want to try to answer a question every single week. And like I said, this episode was based on a question we got a couple days ago. So we're going to answer your questions. I want this to be an interactive wealth building community. And that being said, until next time, peace.